So I was like, oh, snap. I was like, oh man.
Wednesday is a day of the week. It's a character, and it's also today. And it's also a TV show, by the way.
Wednesday is dark, quirky, comedy, and or adventure.
Wednesday is charismatic.
Ooh.
So short, so sweet. Yes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. Is that a good thing?
Still can.
Sorry, I always jump on you there, Mohammed. Yes, you still can. You still can watch the show. Of course, today we're doing a review of Wednesday on Netflix. It's a spinoff of The Addams Family, I believe. Look, you know our co-host. It's Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Hello, always a pleasure to be on Falling Towers. Watch the first of things.
We also have a very special guest all the way from California's beautiful Central Valley. It's Zumbie Allure. What's up?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing great. Just enjoying this nice cold weather until it starts to heat up over here.
All right.
Yeah.
So those of you wondering why it's so warm for Ryan and not for Zombie is because she's like 200 or 300 miles north of me. That's freezing over. She's on a glacier right now, whereas I am not. All right, so we are doing Wednesday, of course, new show, spinoff, Addams Family, first episode entitled Wednesday's Child is Full of Woe. Now, everybody,
we're going to having a child.
Yeah. Not yet. But everybody, you must please like this video. Also, please subscribe to this glorious channel. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate it. Now, let's get up into Wednesday. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, let's not touch that.
I was like, yeah. Where are we going, Mohammed? Save me.
This is Ryan's favorite part of the show, where we it's called Expectations. No, actually, no, it's not. Just kidding. Favorite part of the show, which is the predictaments. This is where we predict what each other thought of the show after we saw it, without giving away whether we liked it.
Now, everybody at home, if you are wondering why this show is so disjointed today, it's because it was never jointed in the first place. All right, so it is my favorite part of the show. You're right, Mohammed. We're going to predict things. Mohammed and I have known each other pretty well for a few years. Zombie and I have known each other, I feel like it's like 5, 6, 7 years. It's been quite some time. We know each other fairly well. Mohammed and Zombie, you guys are at a disadvantage. Barely know each other. One show amongst you. But let's make some predictions.
Follow each other on social.
Mohammed, I predict that you enjoyed this show. I think that the long quips and retorts were right up your alley. I thought that you found it to be clever and charming and witty and fun. And I think you're going to be right around the 8 or 8.5 range. He's checking his notes. When he checks his notes, it means I came pretty close. Like he thinks that I'm in the ballpark and he needs to check how close I actually am. That checking of the notes is all the verification I need. Zombie, I think that you like this very much. I think you found it to also be witty and charming. I don't know if you'd ever seen The Addams Family before, so I don't know if you know the source material. You just found it on its own. So you're not going to be one of those people that are going to be like, it wasn't close to the source material. It wasn't. Wednesday's supposed to be 5.7, not 5.5, or whatever. So those are my predictions. I think you're going to give it right around the same as Mohammed, fairly high. What about you, Mohammed?
So I'm going to start with Zombie. I think you actually would like it a lot. I think you're going to be pretty positive about it. I think you're going to be like, wow, this is great. This is a lot of fun. There's a lot of great stories here. Ryan, I think you're positive, but I don't think you were blown away. I think you're going to think like, it's good. It was fine. So I think, so while Zombie might go more in the 8 range, I think you might go more in the 6 to 6.5 range, Ryan. That's my guess.
My notes.
Check your notes.
Oh.
Aha! What about you,
Yeah.
Zombie?
I think, I think, who should I go first? Mohammed, you. I think you probably are in the middle between like a 7.58. I feel like you probably enjoyed it to the point where you were a little bit hungry for more. And then, right, I think you're like about, honestly, the last time we did this, I think you're about maybe 6.57, maybe 7.5 tops. Feel like
Right.
you probably were like, it's completely different viewpoint of how it was written, and but it still got your interest. It still caught like your attention. So I think that's what I feel that your guys' ratings are gonna be for
Got
sure.
it. Got it.
Yes.
Now, everybody at home, if you're wondering, when Zombie said the last time we did this, that was episode 178, WTF number 178. We reviewed Justice League, also on Netflix. And let me give you a hint. If you want to know if we liked it, out of the three of us, one of us had a very different score than the other two. We'll see.
But I'm not positive.
Yeah, we'll see who that was. Go check it out. Justice League, episode 178. All right. So I'm lost again. Mohammed, can you navigate?
Oh, this is now where everybody gets to type their predictions into the live chat, and I'll buy them some time by telling them what the show is even about.
Thank you. Perfect. He said, I was waiting on the about.
All right. So 15-year-old Wednesday Addams is a dark goth teen trying to be mostly emotionless, minus a hint of spite. Unsurprisingly, she's picked on at school, and she's fully willing to go too far in return. After being kicked out of her regular school, she's taken to her parents' alma mater, Nevermore Academy, where the other students are said to be fangs, furs, stoners, and scales. She is awkwardly paired for a roommate with the very emotional fur, this is a werewolf, Enid Sinclair. She's a werewolf who we learn later is unable to transform. Wednesday does not get on too well with kids at school and quickly makes the decision that she's going to escape. After being taken to a therapy session in a nearby town, she almost gets away with help from the sheriff's son, but the principal finds her and takes her back. She makes another attempt to get away during a festival, but instead learns two things. There's a prophecy that she will destroy the school, and two, there's a murderous monster in the woods.
Wow. So
long summary, sorry.
Not at all. As Mohammed said, hopefully you are making your predictions. Did I like this show? Did Mohammed like this show? Did Zombie like this show? Let us know in the live chat or in the comments below. Make your predictions. It seemed like all of us thought that we all would be somewhat high on it.
Yeah. I know we said below 5.
So, all right. Very good. Keep those typings. All right, Mohammed's warming up his hands. He knows what's next.
Oh, yeah. This is my favorite part of the show. No, just kidding. The expectations, where we spend a little bit of time on what we each expected from the show before seeing it. Again, still not giving away what we thought. And then more time on what we actually what we actually got when we watched the show. Or as Ryan likes to say, we like to compare and contrast what we expected from what we got.
I do love to say that. That's one of my
very eloquently too.
Sometimes I say that when I wake up in the morning just to get me off on the right foot.
Brushing your teeth. I like to compare and contrast.
Yeah. It's great. And then I feel good. I do it in the mirror, you know. Zombie's like, I believe him.
Right.
All right.
Never doubted.
So here we go. Dr. Noor, before you watched this first episode of Wednesday, what did you expect, if anything?
I think I'd seen a few episodes of The Addams Family when I was young, but honestly, I don't really remember. I mean, I remember the general theme of what they were, but I couldn't tell you anybody's name except maybe Lurch. I couldn't tell you anybody's name from the show or any plot line from any episode. Or like I said, I think I just saw it in the background, some old black and white episodes of it. I had not watched Wednesday before. I knew it was a spinoff. I knew she was one of the daughters. I didn't actually know if any of the rest of the Addams Family were going to be in the show or anything like that too. So I came in kind of cold in that sense. However, I know the show's gotten a lot of buzz. I think it came out almost a year ago. I think it came out like just after Halloween last year, or right around Halloween last year.
Great
So it feels
timing.
like it was. Yeah, it feels like it was maybe just after, which is funny.
Yeah.
But
Sorry. I do remember
okay.
that. That's now that you mentioned that, I do remember it coming out right after Halloween, and my first thought was, "What?"
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was kind of remembering. I wasn't positive it was a false memory. You're right, so I'm glad you confirmed it. But yeah, I hadn't seen it. I know my wife had seen it, my son had seen it, and they liked it, but they didn't like rave about it. Like they just kind of watched it and they said they enjoyed it, but there was no specific story from it. So not much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
What about you, Zombie? What did you expect?
Honestly,
Oh yeah.
I expected it to be exactly how it was described Wednesday. I felt like it was going to be focused on her, and that's I was hoping that it would be a little bit formal from like the old school shows, but it obviously it's 2023. You need millennial support in shows nowadays, and I think honestly, I think Netflix did a very good job, more or less, for sure.
All
Without
right.
giving a lot away. I mean, I that's the most that I could do for now. Because if I start talking, it might slip up. So I think
Well,
that's the most that I could do.
we'll definitely
Wise to hold
slip
back.
up in a minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
you watch. So I'll tell y'all what I expected. Not much. Muhammad just refreshed my memory that I do remember this show coming out maybe like a few days or a week after Halloween. I remember hearing that and thinking that's way to strike while the iron's getting cold, bro. But that's all I knew. In fact, before I watched it, I was trying to rack my brain to figure out, was Wednesday Addams Family or Munsters?
Oh.
Because I never knew, I never watched either show. I remember they're like 50s or 60s or 70s. I don't know. There's something like that. And I remember there was a movie for the Addams Family, or whoever I didn't know if they're Munsters or Addams Family, but Uncle Fester, I remember, was a guy with a light bulb and a thing. And I had a game when I was a kid called Fester's Quest. And I think it was Addams Family. So that's my extent of knowledge, was just that it was either Munsters or Addams Family.
You don't remember the theme music with the snaps? That I do remember.
Oh, the Addams Family. Da 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 da. Right. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. But I didn't know if these characters were Addams Family or if they were Munsters. I think, I just didn't know which one they were. So that's it. Not a lot. That's what we expected. Dr. Noor, what did you actually get?
Overall, I liked it. So I'll tell you what I liked about it. I found it creative. I found it very quirky. I loved the scoring to it. Actually, the musical scoring. I thought actually like, wow, this is very engaging. There was a good mix of both short plots and long plots in there. Like there were things happening throughout the time, but there was also obviously an arc in there. So I found that pretty good. There are a lot of one-liners, especially early on in the episode. Actually, I had a hard time even keeping up with how many like good sort of one-line quips, as Ryan said earlier in there. That definitely made me very happy. It was interesting. Like the second half of it, I didn't think was as funny. Like as we went to the show, it kind of dropped a lot of the one-liners, which I mean, I guess you have to some extent. You can only keep that up for so long. So at that point, I wouldn't say I lost interest, but I wasn't quite as captivated as I was. However, at that point, the plot was thickening, so that still held me on there. I did find it a little bit hard to categorize. That's why in my intro I said it was a dark, quirky comedy and or adventure. It was a little hard to categorize, which I found a little bit confusing. My only significant criticism was that, at least so far, and admittedly it's just the first episode, so maybe this is something that gets fixed later on. I didn't feel like there was a lot of depth to any of the characters. Like they all felt very like one note. So that I think was part of why when the quips kind of went away, it was a little bit hard for me to maintain my focus. But I did fine. I mean, I still enjoyed it all the way to the end. So I'll stop there. I don't want to go too much deeper.
Interesting. I'm liking where this is going. A lot of depth going on here. What do you think, Zombie? What did you actually get upon viewing this 59-minute episode?
I got a lot of disappointment.
Ooh.
But I understand. Yeah, it was a lot of disappointment because I am familiar with the past vision for the shows and for the movies, and I feel like everything kind of like had to be centered to like younger audience, but yet younger audience doesn't really understand the whole overall point what like the Adams family was. So I feel like I think that for me, I was like, as a new person, I wouldn't know anything about it. I would have enjoyed it, but overall, like just the overall focus of what it was very for me personally, it was predictable. I kind of called everything out before it was even happening. So I feel that it was a completely like one-sided. I agree. It was like the characters, whatever was seen, that's all that you really got. You couldn't really get a feel of anything unless if they were putting it in your face, like this is what it is. Like I can't transform. Like this is what it is. Like I don't want friends. This like it was straightforward to the point. There was no mystery of it, and if there was, it was pretty obvious of what was going on. So I feel like they could have teased you a little bit more and honestly kind of honored the characters in the show, like the Addams family part. But I kind of felt like they were kind of sticking to like the overall like point of how the parents were portrayed too. And I always thought that it was a positive for the parents, but this show kind of like took that away completely and literally just made it about Wednesday overall, like her. But it felt like it wasn't just about her. It was about like something totally else, which was really confusing because like if you're gonna have a show about a person, you have to focus on them, not all these other side pieces. And I feel like that kind of like what was making me more interested because I'm just like, okay, I have ADHD. What's going on? Like there's just too much. And I'm like, it's about Wednesday. And yeah, she's also the focal point, but there's just too many characters to keep up with the show that has to just do with the main character. For me, I felt like that kind of took away from it. Overall, I felt like the actors did all a good job, but it was just like either tails or heads. There was like nothing fresh about the show. There was nothing like memorable other than like literally the main character because that's how they wanted it to be. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like that had a lot to do with it. I was a little bit disappointed mostly just because it was just like, this is obvious. It's kind of like in your face. Like overall, I did feel like they could have did a lot better.
Okay. Well, let's we'll talk a little bit more about all that in depth. I'm just glad that you said side pieces. That was fun. I'll tell y'all what I actually got. Well, what I got was, in a nutshell, it's going to be hard to differentiate. In a nutshell, I was very impressed with most of the acting. I found it to be a very charming show. Part of that was production. Part of that was just really charming and excellent delivery by most of the actors. I found the production design and all that to be good. I found the writing to be pretty tired. Like I feel like I've seen this delivery a million times before and this story and this, whatever. So I feel like the writing was kind of the low point for me, surprisingly. And I don't think I'm the target audience for this show because I've had it up to here with shows that have the smart ass kid.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be a part.
I'm like, that is a character that we've seen a million times over. That's our smart ass kid. This is our smart ass kid. This is that quippy, quirky, snarky little rascal. But centering an entire show around that is going to be tough. And having the lead character be very one-dimensional, or as Muhammad mentioned, and I completely agree, one note is going to be very tough. Usually you have the side pieces as the one-note characters, the wacky neighbor, the stupid bartender, the horny boyfriend, the grumpy dad. Those are, but if you have those are one note, but that's okay because they're the secondary characters. If your main character is one note, unchanging, and constantly saying long, quirky, snarky quips, and she's also unbelievably good at everything somehow, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the writers to get through that and make it a really well-written show. I'm not saying they can't after one episode, but what I'm saying is they've paved a very difficult driveway to get to that street. If that makes sense. But Muhammad, let's just get up into this thing. Overall, though, I did find a lot of charm, and I did get a lot of enjoyment. I didn't get any laughs. I think one time I snickered out loud, and I looked for it in my notes. I already can't find it. But what I got was a lot of moments I put in my notes that were cute. I was like, oh, that's really cute. This is cute. This is nice. This is charming. So there are a lot of moments I actually liked a lot. Muhammad, what were moments you enjoyed?
There's a lot of, again, it was a lot of the quips, and especially in the very beginning. So things like, like just for example, when it first opened up, that there had this Nancy Reagan High School and said run by people whose dreams were crushed years ago, and I thought that was kind of funny. Like, okay. Or the comment where she said she had visions. She said it's like electroshock therapy, but without the satisfying afterburn. There's a lot of just like some of those quick lines I thought were really good. Oh yeah, the comment when she said it makes her nauseous, and not in a good way. Like, okay. Overall, again, it was mostly those which kept me going. The plot was okay. I mean, it was actually, what was funny is I recognized the voice of the principal, but I couldn't place who she was. I finally figured it out.
Yes, Game of Thrones, right?
Yes, Brienne of Tarth.
Yes,
from Game of Thrones. Yep. I couldn't place. I texted my son afterwards and said, "Did you realize that was who the principal was?" And he just wrote me back in all capital letters, "What?"
She was great. Fantastic casting.
Yeah,
great. And I feel like there's going to be some criticisms for the parents because they seem a little mismatched.
The mom was great,
but I feel like I just mean like in terms of looks or feel. Yeah. But I'm like, this is a dark comedy. It's okay. They're supposed to be mismatched. I thought that they were very charming. Who is the dad actor? I think Luis Guzman or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think, right? He's very accomplished. He's great, and I really liked it. Anyway, sorry I jumped on you, but I think the casting was really good overall.
Yeah, I also love the Rolling Stones song "Painted Black." So I like the long violin piece with that. Like, yes, I love that song. Mm-hmm. And it fit well. It fit well with what was going on there too. Yeah, I mean, plot wise, I mean, again, there were decent plots, but they weren't like amazing. It was interesting after the show was over. I have not watched past this. After the show was over, my wife asked me, like, "Did you figure out who the villain is?" I was like, "It wasn't even obvious in this first episode that there was a villain, aside from maybe like the bullies." So that was an interesting comment that she said, like, "Oh, okay."
An overall villain. I wonder if it's Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that threw me off when she said, like, it wasn't clear there was a villain.
Yeah, I didn't know either. Well. But Zombie, correct me if I'm wrong. There we go. I said it the third time. But when they give the prophecy of Wednesday is going to destroy the school, that gives us the impression that the school is bad. There's something bad going on in the school, because we can't imagine that she's going to be, that she's the villain, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think she is, or the school is actually bad? So the prophecy of saying she's going to destroy the school is actually theoretically a good thing.
I'm really good at reading like shows and stuff. So like for me personally, I felt like the correlation between like the characters, like the mom and the principal, like there's a history, so like why would somebody I'm thinking like as a mom, why would somebody send their kids somewhere where they could get hurt or like it would be bad for them, versus like there's a lesson that needs to be learned. This is why we're taking you here. Like as a parent, you're going to sit there and teach your kid, hey, you're doing too much. You need to learn. This is the way. This is our way. This is the only way. And so like, I feel like now she has to create some form of responsibility for herself and then do her little investigating, like how Wednesday is, she's going to investigate. So like it's never meets the eye. So whatever it's portrayed, I don't believe. I think it's the total opposite. So that's how I visually see it. And so like if you pay like attention, or if there's like little things that happen like subliminally, you'll know like for sure there's something going on that's dark. And obviously Wednesday is an investigator, so she's gonna try to find it. Even if she doesn't know, it's something that's inside like the DNA of Adam. Like there's something, and she's gonna be snoopy to be like, well, this is interesting. Am I the bad person? Like what's going on? Like why they it's just a whole bunch of questions at this point. But I feel like no, I think that the prophecy would most likely be something that would turn out not what it seems, because that whole what is it, the like the vampires or whatever, like it's not what it seems. So it's not like basic like cultural of like, oh, vampires and werewolves and all this stuff. It's like these are just kids doing what they're doing, and then this is just one bad kid joining more bad kids, and now there's something going down. So now I'm just like, that's what reeled me in at the very end. I was like, what? What happened? Are you serious? So that's like kind of like where I see where things are going, more or less. So hopefully I can figure it out if it's true or not.
Yeah.
I forgot one other scene I liked was the even though it's completely ridiculously unrealistic, I like the piranha thing in the swimming pool.
Yeah. I'm always that guy. I'm such a jerk about it, where I'm like, where the did she get piranhas? She just happened to have
be that aggressively hungry
a
too.
whole
It's kind of
bunch.
ridiculous, but
And then,
it was still
and
funny.
then I kind of saved myself thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe it was just a dream or a fantasy. No, it really happened.
No, it happened.
She was like, those guys were angry. Thank goodness I've got a bucket full of piranhas ready to go.
All right.
That was, I was like, come on, man. I don't know. It's tough for me. I know we're supposed to just suspend our disbelief and just have fun with it. But I'm like, that's a little weird. There are no piranhas aren't readily available in a school, let alone just anywhere.
Like, they probably die in the chlorinated pool water too.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like I said, for me, I thought it was charming. You know who was really charming was the roommate.
Yes,
she was very charming. Very as soon as they walked in and you just see these pastel colors everywhere. I thought that the production design was brilliant in that they have that stained glass window, and then the one side is pastels, and then the other side is just black and white, which was, beautiful and very smart. The music was amazing. As soon as the theme song kicked in, my first thought was, I immediately put in my notes, sounds like Danny Elfman, looks like Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas. And then like 20 seconds later, it's like music by Danny Elfman, directed by Tim Burton or whatever. And I was like, those two guys have such a distinct quality, that it's extremely immediately recognizable, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. The music was amazing.
I agree about Enid Sinclair too. She was definitely the most like I wouldn't say relatable, but the most sympathetic character all the way through.
Yeah. Did you guys have any moments where you went, "Aw"? I sure did. For example, they had Christina Ricci, right? She came in. She was like the dorm leader or something like that.
Yeah,
she was Wednesday.
Miss Thornhill.
She was Wednesday in the previous Adam. Oh, that is so cute. But when she came in and she says, "I get a flower for that matches what I think each new whatever dorm person has," and she gave her a black dahlia or something. But I was like, that is really cute. That's a really cute written line. That's really cute. On the page, but it was also delivered well and it was well executed. I thought that was. I don't know why I liked that a lot. So we're going to start giving flowers to all of our guests. What's zombies? Zombie's going to get moss. Remember, we're talking about moss before we hit record. We're going to give her a nice vase full of moss.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be really interesting to have. actually.
oxygenate your room.
That's right. It'd be good. I guess for me, it would be the pet scorpion story. I mean, not it was kind of like just it was again, it was sort of a sympathetic moment, not an all like, oh, that was lovely to see the scorpion get killed, but it was a sympathetic moment.
Why'd you take mine? Mine would have to be when she was getting dropped off and been like, "Oh, this is what we gotta
Sorry.
do." Yeah, like what else? Like, and it's like moms know best type thing, but at the same time, it's just like hopefully you see from what I'm trying to do, and she's just being stubborn. And then like the little brother's like, "Ooh," and I'm like, oh, that so fits the jar. Like you just probably just the beginning when they had to like go and that whole like scenery was probably my all moment because and then the scorpion was too, but like
Hmm.
that was weird for me to even see her in that light. That could have been like later because that's not how Wednesday's supposed to be portrayed. It's like I don't know.
I
But
thought
yeah, the
Thing
my body.
I thought Thing was really good. I'm like, how are you able to depict so much
Mm.
with just a hand? Now, a couple of times I kind of predicted what he was going to do. Like when she says you have to pledge your undying allegiance, I was like, okay, he's going to do a little bow thing, and he did that. But other times he would just do a couple hand signals, and I would like redo it with my hand. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Very, like that's a difficult job for whomever the hand person is, and I thought that they did it very well. Um,
I was expecting he was going to jump on the keyboard and just start typing out what he wanted to say.
Mhm.
oh, yeah, and so he did a really cute moment was when she was playing her cello. I think
Yeah.
she said oversized violin, but I thought it was a cello. And he turns the
The
page for her.
pages.
I was like, oh, that is so cute. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's cute, but it is. Uh, maybe I just thought this show was too cute, but it definitely did not make me laugh. And I definitely rolled my eyes a few times. I mean, let's just in one episode, you have a character that is an obvious genius, knows several languages perfectly, including very difficult words that a lot of people don't even know in their native language, can fight like a champ and beat up a group of people that are larger than her. She's a music genius. She has perfect aim at darts. Like there's a lot going on in this teenager. I mean, how do you master all of that in 14 years or whatever it is? So
Not
that's
having friends and only practicing.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also found it hard to keep the dudes apart.
Yeah.
Tyler and Xavier and
Rowan.
Rowan, like
Yeah.
it was hard for me to keep them apart. But other than that, I thought that every character was introduced very well. They introduced like a dozen characters, but for the
Mm.
most part, we were very clear on who they were and what their role was. Therapist, dorm person, principal, mom, dad, brother, roommate, fencing person. Like there were a lot of, coffee shop guide, sheriff, and we got them very clearly. So I thought they did a very good job of introducing the characters for the most part. Do you guys have a favorite character?
Hmm.
Tuffy.
Not Tyler, because I didn't really understand what his motivation was. It was just weird.
Was he the coffee shop guy?
Yeah. Like, why are you being so nice to this stranger and like willing to drive her to another city and like you're almost creepy, like, I don't know if I like that.
Hmm.
Maybe honestly, maybe the mom,
Hmm.
Morticia.
What
I'm
about you,
biased by.
Zombie?
Oh, go ahead.
Wednesday. Ironically, it's her. I mean, it was there was too much supported characters for me to even be like, this one could be like my favorite. But like even with the roommate, I was like, but I was like, no. I was like, I think Wednesday had a lot more to offer, obviously, because she's a focal point, but there was not enough time to really get the jizz of like each character and their overall purpose. So yeah, that's I'm just like, is it? Can I relate to any other character? No, but I do know Wednesday's a badass, so I'm just gonna like, I'm gonna go with her because like she does be handling her own. Like she's the hated and she's the outcast in a outcasted environment. It doesn't make no sense. So like even her being part of a scene, it's still like her being a part of her own scene. So it's for me, it's relatable. So I would pick her.
Who was your favorite Addams Family character before this show?
Wednesday,
Okay.
Oh wow.
because she's evil and she did a lot of bad things. And I did a lot of bad things growing up. I was the rebel outcast in my family. Like I was always the one that like had to be the lesson learned, and obviously that's her role right now. It's just her finding whether or not if that's her real identity or not. It's like a step forth of like, is this who she chooses to be, or is this just the environment? So now she was replaced from a normal school to a school where it's like all the same, and she's still clearly the outcast. She just doesn't fit in. She can't. Not all shoes fit the same, or not all feet fit the same shoes. So like with her, I think that's for me. I feel like that's probably why she would be my favorite, and she was my favorite in the past because I am familiar with the shows and with the movies that came out recently. I'm just like, ew, that's not even the same. Like, but overall, like Wednesday would have to be mine for sure.
They also
Or
had an interesting character, like you said, Muhammad. They had scales, claws. What was it? Fangs,
Fangs,
furs,
furs,
stoners, and scales. And they introduced what everything was: vampires, werewolves, sirens. But they didn't say what the stoners were. They gave us a hint because a snake crept out of his hat. So I assume that meant, yeah, exactly, because they like Medusa and they turned people to stone. So my favorite character was not that guy who had 2 lines, but I will say, who's the guy that saved her life? Was that Xavier? Xavier Thorpe. His first scene, I was really impressed with his acting. I was like, wow, this kid knows how to act. Clearly is a good actor. But my favorite character probably would be the roommate. I thought that she immediately was very good and fun, and it's necessary to have the yin to Wednesday's yang. Secondarily, and very close second, is Thing. I thought that Thing was portrayed very well, and that was fun for me. Did you guys have any what was your favorite moment? Did you have just a moment where you're just like leapt out of your seat and applauded as you wiped tears away?
I think for me, honestly, it was the even though it had nothing to do with the plot, the painted black. So it was so good. It was so well done.
That was towards the end with the cello, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Me too. I think that must have been it for me too. What about
mine
you,
was
Zombie?
the fencing. The fencing.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, snap. I was like, oh man. I was like, well, that's exactly what my face looked like too. I was just because you don't get to see her go toe to toe with nobody. So like I enjoyed that very much. I was looking forward to more, but you know, it's just very.
Actually, that's true. That was the one thing that Wednesday was very good, but not the best at.
Right.
Was
Exactly.
fencing. Her dart skills were pretty darn good. Let me tell you, as an avid dart thrower myself, no, not really. Oh, and she's a writer too. So
that's right.
Let's move on to another impressive person, and her name is Zumbie Allure. What's up, Zombie? You've got your own YouTube channel, and people can find it. We'll put it in the description box below, but it's at Zumbie Allure, but zombie is spelled with a U. That's ZUMBIEALLURE. What's new with you? What kind of projects you have going on, and what's that cool background behind you?
Oh, these are just like my emotes that I have for like all of like available when I do stream. When I return to stream on Twitch, I know the last time I think I mentioned it too, but like these are like all the little ones that I got. I got like when I get scared, or like when I fart or burp, or when I say clip it. Like all of these are the ones that are incorporated into when you subscribe. There's different tiers. My main project was doing a voiceover for this what is it? A campaign that's going on for Kickstart for a comic book called Shadowhunter Comics. So I did an
What is it?
overvoice for,
Say that again,
huh?
please. What comics?
Shadowhunter Comics.
Got it.
It's basically a character that's within the comics, and the creator reached out to me to see if I could do a voiceover for the trailer for their Kickstart campaign, and I was able to do that. It was very short, like a couple lines, but it was like a door into like doing voiceovers, which I really want to start doing. So it was a very good experience. The main projects that I'm focusing on right now are not like for overall like social media presence, but it is something that I'm taking very, very serious in my personal life. And it's I'm in an ACE Overcomers class, and I am graduating this week. I was a 12-week course, and then I'm now committed to a 22-week course for Parent Leadership Training Institute. And those are like by far my two biggest projects, and I'm like really enjoying it because like it's a big eye opener. A lot of people have no even idea what those are about, which is weird to me because I'm just like, I'm a new mom and I've been living here for like 31 years of my life, and never have I heard about that until recent events with going to like certain different events and getting resources and stuff and learning more about it. So those are like my main ones. And like overall, just those are like my three main projects that I've been having as of lately. So I'm very excited for those ones.
Are you looking for more voiceover like projects? Is that
Yeah,
an aim?
I mean, I'm a Jackie of all trades. So I already do a lot in itself. I weld, I work on cars, like I do mukbang videos. I do a lot of different ranges of different like sectors. So like I wanted to get in acting, and I was gonna have an opportunity like in Fresno, like back when I was a teenager. But the programming was so expensive, and obviously coming from like a low income family, that was like not the business. But they really wanted me. They were like, you have something. I had braces, snake bites, and I was gonna be the one of the kids for the Pepsi commercial back then when I was like 11.
Wow.
Yeah, because they wanted my dimples. The original, she curly hair. She was from this movie called Polly. I don't remember her name, but like they already had a dimple girl for Pepsi, and they wanted another one. But long story short, that didn't work out. But I always want to get into acting or like voice acting or things like that. But I don't know how to go about it. I mean, I'm good with interviews. I'm good with like being a host and things like that. It's just for me, I really feel like I need to be under somebody to learn from it, because acting is something that you either have or you have to have a good mentor on it. And I was gonna be in a couple like low, what is it? The ones that are not like in the theater, but they're not low budget, but they're, what are they called? Like
Independent.
when they're like, yeah, independent. And I didn't get to go to those opportunities because just the location, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, I mean, I have the potential to do it. It's just I really don't know where to go about it. And that's why I'm just like, if people reach out to me, I'm like, hey, I'm down. Like I could do it. I mean, it may take me a little here and there, but I'm super capable of it, you know what I mean? So it's like voice acting or like acting in general, like I like it. It's just something that I enjoy and that I want to pursuing, and that's something that's going to open the door for me, is like probably maybe doing like voiceovers, or like if someone needs me for a project, I'm willing to like go out and do it. It's just I don't have I don't have the network for that, you know what I mean? So like it's kind of like
Well, everybody at home, if you've got any voiceover work or acting gigs you think she might nail, make sure to contact her. You can do so at the link in the description box below. Lots of great stuff to check out there as well. But now, as Muhammad warms up his violent hands for the karate chop, it's time for the terrible twos.
Bottom line on the bottom. Karate chop line.
It's the terrible twos, everybody. It's the final two questions of the show. Question number one is, Dr. Muhammad Noor, on a scale of 1 to 10, be honest, what would you give this first episode of Wednesday?
What I wrote down on my piece of paper was a 6.7. So I liked it. I liked it overall. but it was not like, among the shows that I really liked that we've discussed here on Watch the First, this was not near the top. I mean, it was kind of like, it was okay, it was solid, it was enjoyable, but it didn't hold my attention. Mostly, like I said, it was the characters that I just didn't find that exciting.
Mm-hmm. Zombie, what about you? Scale of 1 to 10 for this episode.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Nailed it.
Ooh.
I wrote it down in my notes already. That I put it down. I put Muhammad 6.7, Ryan, not spoiler there, and then Zombie I put 4 flat.
Wow.
So please, but tell us why you gave it a 4. So sorry.
There's just so much more that could have been the focal point, and it wasn't. You know what I mean? It wasn't a bad episode. I just feel like my brain capacity with having ADHD made it extremely difficult to keep the main focus on her. It was like over the bridge, underneath, over the bridge, underneath. It was just too much to sink in, other than like what the show was supposed to be about. Like, so that's why it's a 4, because like I feel like they could have did a lot more better to reel you in versus setting up the table. We know about Wednesday. Like, we don't need a description of it. We just want more based on her. And it felt like it wasn't even about her. You know what I mean? So like that's why it's a 4 for me. Everything else, that's why it even has a 4. I would have given it like a 2, but they did a decent job. I would have, but the 4 is because the actors did amazing. The plot was all right, but overall, it was just not what it was supposed to be. And that alone kind of like made me irritated, because I'm just like, bro, come on, guys. So
if this is you are irritated, it's not too bad.
I'm an irritation.
Well, I'll tell y'all what I gave it. I gave it very close to Muhammad, actually, a 6.5.
Oh, very close.
Yeah, the writing got better at the end for me, in that they had a nice kind of plot twist, and they raised the stakes, and they gave us a seasonal mystery. So then you can kind of understand what the formula is going to be. It's going to be the episode of the week, but also a serialized kind of situation. Again, acting great, casting great. The directing for the most part was good. Production design, great. Music, unbelievable. It was, and it was charming. There were cute moments. But I think just that trope of just every single line being some kind of snarky, long answer with big words. And I'm like, dude, please don't encourage a whole generation of people that want to be a smart ass. Now, if it encourages them to learn a bunch of big words and formulate long sentences, all right, that's a good deal. But either way, that, like I said, they paved a tough road for them to get through in subsequent episodes, I think. So 6.5 from me.
One interesting thing that leads into the next question too. It's interesting how at the very end of the episode it had kind of like and here's what to expect for the rest of the series. It's like,
I know, I accidentally peeked at that. I tried to stop, but I couldn't. I was too weak. Now, question.
I figured it was part of the episode, so I figured like we have to watch it. It's part of the episode.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Question number 2 is the real toughie, and the one that Netflix really leans in to find out the answer to.
Netflix, the home Star Trek prodigy.
That's right. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Wednesday, but now the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet. Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you, of your own volition, watch the second episode?
I think so, but not like, it would not be high on my list, but I think so. I'll just call it yes. It's one of those things where like, I could check it out if, right now, For All Mankind hasn't come back yet. We've only got like half-hour long Star Treks that are happening right now that are new. Most of those shows I was watching, Only Murders in the Building, is on hiatus. A lot of the shows I've been watching are on hiatus. Like, I guess I could click this on since I don't really have anything else to watch. It's like, see, this is okay.
All right. Not
see
too
my high
bad,
enthusiasm there.
That's a yes, though. That's cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Zombie? Would you watch the second episode of your own volition, or are you pretty much done with it?
Would it be weird if I already said that I've already finished the whole season? Would it be bad to say that?
When did you
Okay.
do that?
I been did that. I
Oh,
been.
you did it before.
Wow.
That's
Got
why
it.
but rewatching it again, I was like a 4 for me, for sure. But it takes,
Even having seen the rest of
you
it
have
too.
to connect with somebody to make it worth it with these TV shows on Netflix, because it was just like, I already know familiarity with the character, and that's why, like, for me, I'm just like, you had to have invested some part to even try to watch the second one. And they did a good job at the end. I had to duke it out till the end, you know. So, and I'm very happy that I was committed, because overall it was like trickling down of every focal point. And that's what made the show very good at the very end for me. So I had to just like give it a still hard 4, even though I spent
But
all
would you
of the
this time watch the second episode this time
yes.
around? Okay, great.
Yes, because there's a lot of things you guys said that I didn't focus on. And that's where my ADHD kicks in, because I'm just like, there was just too much. And now I'm just like, wait, hold on, what? Like, I don't remember that. Or like, oh, would that really happen? Because I didn't care about anybody else other than Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, so that was my main focal point.
Neither does Wednesday.
And
Not false.
Yeah. Well, look, everybody, we're just about out of time, but I got to tell y'all if I would watch the second episode. It's a pretty easy no for me. I don't hate the show. It's a pretty easy no. I have zero curiosity. I don't, it was fine. It was pleasant. I actually enjoyed it overall. And again, so much good stuff went into it. I just worry that they're kind of writing themselves into a corner with the character, the lead character, and with the story overall. But the actors were all
Ask you a
great.
question. If it was like 1980, which I know you were like, what, extremely young then.
0.
Yeah. If it was 1980 and like you couldn't just click on stuff you wanted to watch, and this just came on network TV, and like this is what was on Wednesday nights at 8. Would you watch it then, or would you be like, nope, I'd rather just turn off the TV than watch it?
Still surely not. I mean,
Wow,
if there was only one channel, you mean like one channel? So it's either watch this,
or like 2 channels, and like it's this
watch
one, and
this
it's like
and
the
nothing
news
else.
on the other one, or something like that. It's something completely random.
Most likely at any point in my life, maybe there might have been an age or two, like at 4, where like, but for the most part, at any point in my life, I would have been like, nah, I don't know, maybe, yeah, maybe. Anyway, that is a good question. So that's it for us, everybody. Please let us know what you think of this show, or if you're going to watch it now, in the comments below. And please make your suggestions for next month, which is 80s sitcom month. If you have a suggestion for an 80s sitcom, in the comments below, give it to us. And what that means is any show that aired the first time in the 80s. It could be a show that started in 1975 and went all the way to 82, because then it was in 1980, or a
Like
show that started in 1989 and went to 1993. That's okay, because that had some time that it originally aired in the 80s. That's it for us. Let us know your suggestions in the comments below. All right, what I'm trying to say is this podcast was even more fun than a Friday.
This podcast is airing on a Wednesday.
This podcast was very intense.
Hell yeah. In an igloo too. In a wigwam, in a teepee. All right, that's it for us, everybody. Just remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget to be an organ donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
All right, freeze frame like the principal.